Hi friends, welcome back to Serenity Hill Farmstead. Today I want to talk about respiratory herbs. It is, what is today? October 12th today that I'm filming this, and cold and flu season, I don't know about where you're at, but where we're at, it is in full swing. So I'm going to talk about some of the herbs that we use to help support our respiratory system, and I'm going to show them to you quick just because, it's always nice to see what they look like growing. But it's cold and windy and kind of raining on and off here. So we'll talk about them here for a quick second, and then we're going to go back to the house where it is dry, or maybe I'll just pop into the cabin there, we'll see. And we'll talk more about them and talk about some medicines that you can put together to help support your respiratory system and your family's respiratory systems during this time. So if you see this tall stalk, see these tall stalks here, this is mullein, and it is obviously done for the year, but down here, you can see these are what's left of first year mulleins. And in the first year, mullein kind of does this spiral, and I have a detailed video of everything about mullein. I will put that down in the description box if you want to check that one out. That one has been the most popular video lately. It's a great introduction to mullein if you're not familiar, but it's super fuzzy. They call this one cowboy toilet paper, I've heard it called. It's got some wonderful properties for toning and healing the lungs. So this is definitely something that we grow a lot of. We grow it in different places. This is not the only place that we grow mullein, but it's the easiest to get to and easiest to film. So this is the one that I keep coming back to. But this is one of my absolutely favorite herbs. It is a must-have since we do have asthma and allergic asthma in our house. So this is one that we grow every year. The leaves are the part that you want for the respiratory system. The root we go after for low inflammatory back pain. And up here where the flowers are going to be, now the seeds are in here now. You see that? Those are the seeds. We don't want to ever ingest mullein seed, but the flowers, those are specifically for the ears. And that video that I talked about, again, that link is in the description box. That will go over more detail about how to use these. All right, we're gonna do this one a little bit different because the wind is kicking up here and we're getting gusts, and I don't want the wind to interfere with you hearing me. So you're in the peppermint as I'm talking about the peppermint. Peppermint is another one. Aside from the flavor of it, mints have a tendency to help open everything up, open up your sinuses, open up your upper respiratory passages. So this is one that I like to add to several different tea blends. I use it in digestive blends and I use it in respiratory blends as well. Mint is very versatile, and peppermint especially has a lot of awesome benefits. So this is one that we definitely want to keep in our arsenal of respiratory blends. Now there's 3 more herbs that I want to talk to you about. Do you hear that wind? It's getting kind of crazy. So we're going to sit here on the porch and we're going to chat about them here. So the first one is stinging nettle. Now in the fall, everything's pretty spent, but you can harvest it throughout the entire season. Obviously, when you get to this time of year and you've had really cold temperatures and a couple frosts, that's not something that you really want to harvest anymore. It's not the best quality, and when you start seeing the leaves die back and just kind of the plant get a little wilty, that's not something that we want to use for medicine. There's not a whole lot of medicinal value left in the plant. At that point in time, it's going dormant, so all the medicinal value is pulling and going into the roots of the plant. But nettle is something that I use daily, multiple times a day. Nettle is a very important part of my herbal protocol. I use it for inflammatory properties. That is the biggest reason I use nettle. It's got a lot of different properties. Like I said, it's a very nutritive herb. It's really good for people that have anemia specifically. It's good at boosting the red blood cells and helping production there. A lot of great properties in nettle. We can talk about, nettle deserves its own video, but it is a really great herb for breathing, for your respiratory system, because it helps lower the inflammation. When you have a reactive airway, meaning it's an airway that is responding to an irritant, be it a virus, a bacteria, asthma, COPD, emphysema, anything that obstructs your breathing, you have inflammation. That is the body's natural response to an injury, an illness, an irritant of any kind, internally or externally. But nettle is excellent for bringing that inflammation down. Now you have to watch the type of nettle that you are looking at. Nettle There's many different types of nettle, and the type that you have varies per area. What I'm talking about is the type that we have here in Northwest Illinois in Zone 5A, and that's stinging nettle. There's a lot of different types of nettle, and they're all a little bit different and can have a little bit of different purposes. They can share properties. You just have to do your homework with your specific type of nettle. And I always have people ask specifically about plants in their area, and while some of those answers I may have, a lot of them I don't, because I'm not familiar with all of the plants. There's so many different varieties, guys, and I would love to be as helpful as I can. I love to give you guys tips and advice. That's why I do this. But there's a lot that I don't know, so that's why I have a selection of books that are my go-tos, and hopefully they can help you too. But I will leave the link for that video that I did on the books that they're my go-tos. There is a plant identifier book, Peterson's. That is my favorite. But always when you're identifying plants, you want to use two sources. You want to use a book, and a good book, not a black and white and a hand-drawn book. You want to use something good like Peterson's. And they have Peterson's guides for medicinal plants for like every area, for every region. So definitely check that out. They're really easy to find. You can get them on Amazon. They're always on sale. And then I use the Picture This app on my phone. It is a paid app, but if you just keep hitting cancel on there, you don't have to pay for it. And I'm cheap, so that's what I do. But if you do want to purchase it, it's only $20 for the year. I should probably purchase it. This next herb is like herbal Robitussin. It's elecampane, and elecampane is, and we actually do have it growing here. We kind of had a crazy story about elecampane. Did I do a video on it? I might have done a video on it. I can't even remember now. If I did, I will put it down in the description box for you guys to check out elecampane. It's a tall plant. It puts out these like kind of wiry sunflower looking blossoms, which I totally forgot to share. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I did say that I was going to share that, and I completely forgot to do that. But we're after the roots for elecampane, so we wait for it to go dormant, which it currently is going dormant. So it's like the leaves are dropping off, and it's pretty much just a stalk at this point. But we're going to wait till we get a couple good freezes, not just frost, for all the properties to be good and dormant and go after the roots. The root is like an octopus. It just kind of like does this underground and doesn't go long and deep. It goes kind of wide and out. It goes down a little bit, but it's not super deep. Like we don't even use our tree shovel, like the long narrow ones. We don't even use that. We can just use our normal spade shovel. But because elecampane is a root, you want, if you're going to drink it as a tea, you want to use it as a decoction. That's how you're going to pull all those properties out. Decoctions are tea, but you go about it differently to drink it as a tea. So in an infusion, you just take, those are all the aerial parts of the plant, right? So you're going to take that and you're going to boil some water, and then you're going to take it off the stove, or when your kettle's done, pour yourself a cup of hot water, and then you're going to put your aerial parts, your dried aerial parts or your fresh aerial parts, into your boiled water, and you're going to let it steep for the allotted time. With a decoction, you want to get that water up to boiling in a saucepan and then add your root. You are going to actively boil it for a little bit, and I will go ahead and put the instructions for elecampane decoction in the description box down there so that you have it in print and you can go ahead and copy it out. But after the boiling period, then you simmer it for a while. It can be 20 minutes, it can be 40 minutes, just depends on the plant. Again, that's down in the description box specifically for elecampane. And then you let it cool. And then you can drink it. Let it cool to the desired temperature that you can drink. Don't try and burn yourself or anything. Don't try and drink it crazy hot. And then you can have your elecampane tea. Now, the best way to drink respiratory supportive herbs is as hot as you can safely ingest them, especially for things like mullein. That one is because it's also an inhalant. Hyssop is another one, and that's going to be the next herb I talk about. You can use your elecampane decoction, and you can mix that with an infusion, because you don't want to actively boil aerial parts in teas like mullein and hyssop. And everything else that we've talked about. You don't want to, peppermint, you don't want to actively boil those because it can destroy the compounds. My favorite way to use elecampane in our family is in tincture form. It does take a longer time to tincture it. It takes 8 weeks to sit in the vodka and to pull all the great properties out and then to be able to use it. But we do this ahead of time, right? So our ELECAMPANE is already done and ready to go, but you can take that ELECAMPANE tincture and put it into your tea. Because how time consuming would that be to make your ELECAMPANE decoction and then make your infusion with your other respiratory supportive herbs and then put them together? That would take a really long time. And you're having this tea multiple times a day when you're really struggling. So yeah, I would rather just add the tincture. It's more concentrated also in tincture form, and we've found it to be incredibly fast acting. What ELECAMPANE does, like its best, what I think is the best property of ELECAMPANE is it's an expectorant and decongestant. So it breaks apart all of the junk in your upper respiratory system and helps you cough it out. It helps with the deep, like if you ever had that cough and you can feel stuff down deep in your lungs, it has helped me break stuff apart even down deep and get it out. Now with different types of respiratory conditions, sometimes this is warranted to help, you know, break out the junk that's sitting in your lungs and your upper respiratory. That includes your throat too. That feeling that you're just constantly clearing your throat, that can be asthma in some people. And if you have asthma and you're doing that, that's a warning sign that your asthma is not controlled. That's actually my first warning sign. ELECAMPANE helps big time with that. So that is something that I like to always have on hand. So I said that there were 3 more herbs, but I forgot one. So I'm going to give you a bonus herb, and that's marshmallow. And then I'm going to save hyssop for last. So marshmallow is one of those plants that you can use every single part of it. You can use all the aerial parts, you can use the stems. The thick woody stems I don't use, but you know, the branches off of that are more thin and pliable. Those stems that I'll use the leaves, use the blossoms. All of that is usable. You can use that in tea form, you can use it not so much in tincture form. The root you can use in tincture form, but since we're talking about respiratory, we're going to stick to the leaves because the roots are actually best for the gut. So the leaves we dry and we use in tea form because marshmallow has a mucilage which helps balance the mucous membranes in your body. It doesn't just work in the lungs, it works through with all of your mucous membranes in the body. So it's especially good for if you have a dry cough and you need that balance, you need things to be soothed and to have some more lubrication, like the way you should normally be. Things should not be dry and cracked. Marshmallow is great for helping to balance that. If you tried to tincture marshmallow, I mean, you can tincture whatever herb you want, but you're not going to get all the properties out of it. And if you do get some properties, which you will get some properties, it's not going to be to the fullest extent. You're not going to get a super rich, strong, choose an adjective here, you're not going to get as best of a medicine as you could if you use it in an infusion. And that's the thing with herbs. All herbs, doesn't matter if they're respiratory herbs, cardiac herbs, gut herbs, whatever, they all have a best way to use them. And anything that you see that says it is a mucilant, has mucilage, mucilagenic, any word that where you see mucilage in it, that is not an herb that you necessarily want to tincture. You really just want to use that as an infusion, or if you're using the root of it, then of course decoction. Okay, the last one is hyssop. And hyssop and ELECAMPANE, kind of similar with the properties of being the expectorant and the decongestant. They are both really good for clearing. With hyssop, I feel like, personally in my experience, and again, everybody responds differently to herbs. Some people will go, hyssop didn't do much for me. They really prefer ELECAMPANE and vice versa. Both work really well in me. Hyssop, I feel like when I'm more closed off, I will use hyssop. Now, in my 50 Herbal Remedies to Stockholm Apothecary ebook, which I'll put the link for in the description box below. So all these herbs, they work together. They complement each other. They each have individual jobs, and some of them share jobs. They both, like having the ELECAMPANE and the hyssop, they both have, you know, that expectorant property, and they both have decongestant properties. The mullein and the marshmallow will help soothe your airways and help restore balance to your airways. and your mullein is going to help you tone. So all of these properties together, they're all complementary. So some of these herbs that I've talked about today, I have already made videos on. So check out the description box below and you can get more information on some of these herbs. The ones that I haven't made videos on, don't worry, they're coming. We're going to be doing all things lungs in the month of November. So stay tuned for that. And I will have a really big announcement coming. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you guys are new and haven't yet subscribed, I want to invite you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date, and then you can get wind of that big surprise coming. If you did enjoy this video and you found it helpful, I hope you did, then feel free to share it. I would love if you shared it. It helps our channel grow. It tells YouTube that you like our content and you want to see more of it and more things like us. That's it for now. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.